Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This video is to inform you that my short break from YouTube has deemed successful. For people who don't know, I took a short break from YouTube for about 6 months for my GCSEs, and my results came out on 25th. I have a pretty amazing set of results. Here they are. I got 8 9s, like 7 9s and one distinction star, which is the highest grade in a BTech qualification, so technically a 9. So 8 9s and 1 8, which is pretty amazing. And the fact that I achieved these in like 8 months, 7 8 months that I had, is pretty nuts. When I first came here from India, it took me some time to get into a school. There were some problems regarding vacancies. So I ended up joining the school in like mid-October. I initially expected to get into year 10 because in India I was in class 9 and you have your ICSE exams in class 10, which is year 11 here. So since I was in class 9 and I moved in between class 9, I expected to be in year 10. But since my birthday is the mid of August and the session here starts from September, the math says I should be in year 11. That was a pretty big shock because I was not prepared to complete a 2 years course in 8 months. Like, yeah, I was doing this as a similar, like, equivalent course in India, but the courses are pretty different. Like, topics in India and for ICSE is quite different to the topics you cover for GCSEs, for even for the same subjects. And on top, since even like I couldn't even join in the start of the year, when I joined obviously it took me a few days to get adjusted and stuff, but also I had 3 weeks before the first mock exams, which was also insane. Honestly, I was pretty tensed, and now that this kind of period is over and I have had such amazing results, I feel a lot more relaxed, which is great for you guys because now I will bring more content to you. Speaking of that, if you haven't subscribed yet, click that little button below because turns out 96% of my viewers are not subscribed, and it would be great if you guys showed some support. Alright, back to what I was saying. I had 3 weeks to prepare for my first mocks, and obviously I couldn't cover everything. And amidst that, for the first few days, I had to choose what subjects I wanted to take. I like history and geography is compulsory for ICC in India, so many people might think, why wouldn't you take history and geography here? Well, the course is absolutely different. There is no similarities between geography in India and geography over here, and same goes for history. I took a few classes for them and to kind of check out what the courses were about. So I ended up taking food tech, and I always wanted to do music, so why the hell wouldn't I take music? And I honestly think those choices were pretty good because, first of all, I got to learn a lot of new stuff. Geography and history, I've already studied those, and those really aren't subjects that interest me that much. Instead, I got to take subjects that interest me, which was pretty great. But that did mean I had to cover a lot of new stuff, and especially since the first mocks were like 3 weeks away, it was a lot of work. But I still actually achieved pretty good results for my first mocks. Here they are. I was pretty shocked to see the results myself. I expected to fail in like most subjects, but turns out turns out I really underestimate myself. I guess a big part is the fact that I'm coming from an Indian education background. Now that doesn't mean like Indian people are subjected to like extreme education where you get like super smart and stuff. It's really not that. It's just that the amount of pressure you're able to withstand without falling apart is way higher because in like especially in an ICSE based school in India, they will give you a lot of pressure from a very early stage, so you got to deal with that. Hence, you can study like 7 8 hours without getting tired, which was good because I had to do that on quite a few occasions this year. Also, speaking of like science, the topics were pretty similar. In fact, in India, topics go into way more depth. Over here, they are a little less in depth for at least GCSEs. However, it was slightly difficult because the questions are absolutely not what you'd expect in an Indian curriculum. Here, you really get questions that come out of the blue, and sometimes they can be pretty confusing. So yeah, it took me some time to understand the patterns, but Once I got hold of it, it wasn't that hard. The subject that I had the most difficulty in was English. And I say that even though I actually just loved English here, though I hated English back in India, mainly because you kind of get the feel of literature more over here. The questions you get here are like nowhere near to the questions you get in India. In India, you get like short questions, and especially you just have to like rewrite the story most of the times. You just have to remember what happened when. You just got to remember the plot. And if you have to write something else, the teacher gives that to you in advance. It's not like you have to improvise or anything. But the questions you get here, initially when I first saw these questions, I was like, uh, that, yeah. But then once I started writing answers and my teacher started checking them for me, I realized that it's way more different here because they allow you to literally write whatever you imagine as long as it's logical and as long as the analysis is valid. So that was pretty awesome when I actually understood that, and it actually allowed me to dig deeper into stories that I've read before, novels that I've read before, and realize them on a depth I haven't realized before. I really think that this kind of like literature should really be like this. I don't know why literature is called literature in India, because honestly, this kind of feel that you get when you study literature like this is much more different. So yeah, English literature and even language over here is like language in India is grammar, and you get some compositions but and comprehensions, but they're not the kind of questions you get here. Admittedly, language is pretty easy here. Once you get the hang of the questions, they are pretty similar every time, and you can kind of reciprocate. But even then, it does feel a lot nicer to study language here than language in India. So yeah, English over here was a great experience. It was a little difficult to get adjusted to it, but once you do, you really get to learn a lot more. At least that's my personal preference. Comment down below what you guys think, because I have a lot of viewers who go to a British school as well as a lot of viewers who go to Indian school. So that would be a nice topic for a debate in the comments. So go ahead, share your thoughts. However, science, I feel like it's way more challenging in India, and it does allow you to understand concepts in a little more depth than what it does over here. Admittedly, I have heard that in A levels there is a huge jump, and things get a little more in depth, kind of similar to India. But then again, that's a jump. And in GCSE level, I really felt like science and maths were much more in depth in India. Again, even though the questions here are way more different, and even though you do have to study, like the course you have to study is shorter over here than in India, the fact that you have to constantly apply them in your answer and not just write down what was in a textbook makes it a lot more challenging, as you have to really understand what you're studying and you have to kind of understand how it fits into the subject. So your concepts should be really clear. Overall, I think, yeah, coming from an Indian education background, that was a huge benefit for me. But I also feel like the fact that I got to study in two different education systems has allowed me to learn the best from both. As I said before, Indian education system has really made me able to survive heavy pressure situations. My capability for studying long hours without getting tired or distracted, that just comes from practice, which is what you do in India. And I think that's pretty great because it makes you durable from any aspect, really. And it makes your mind capable of dealing with more stress without actually falling apart. So yeah, that was my experience of shifting from India and just getting admitted to year 11 just like that, out of the blue, and getting to know you have your first mocks in 3 weeks, and then literally giving your GCSE exams 8 months after you started studying it. It was also really difficult because by the time I started, most of the course was already taught in school and people had started to revise. Only very little parts of the courses were left to be taught. Most of them are already taught and revision was going on. So I had to look up most of the parts myself. However, teachers did support me a lot. So a great thanks to all the teachers at Milton Keynes Academy and also my friends. They were amazingly helpful. All these things together allowed me to achieve a wonderful set of results. I'm extremely happy, and this will also definitely be a huge confidence booster, allowing me to smoothly sail past the next few academic stages of my life. That's pretty much it. Now that GCSEs are over, I'm basically just chilling, focusing on YouTube, trying to make more songs, trying to make more content, and hopefully I can do that during my sixth form time as well. Hopefully I can balance studying and making contents and music and pursuing my other hobbies, because I have a lot of them. And yeah, greatest part, looking forward to life that's about to come. I'm still walking. 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 I'm still walking.